right, I'd like to call to order the January 19th meeting of the Millwood Historic Preservation Commission. Let the record show that all commissioners are present tonight. Yahoo! First item on the agenda would be the approval of the meeting agenda. So is there anything that anyone would like to add to the agenda that we could make a note of now and get to later? Or if there are nothing to add, then I would accept a motion to approve our agenda.
I move we approve it as written. I don't see any need for changes. I move we accept it as written.
And I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Right, motion carries. Next item would be the approval of the November minutes. And just to note that we did not have an official meeting in December because of lack of commissioners here. So this would be going back to November 17th. So if there are any changes or amendments to the minutes, let's add those. If not, we'd also have a motion to accept them as written.
I'll move that we accept the November 17th minutes as written.
All right, any other,
I'll second that.
all right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No, all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. All right, so along the lines of old business, some action items that we've had would be the copy of the historic register letter. So if you remember, we had two letters that were going out. One dealt with the Century properties. We wrote that letter, we sent that out. We've been getting some responses, at least 3, that have requested the certificates and the decals. But this letter was the draft that would go to property owners in the historic district of Millwood, just letting them know that they live in a historic district and they could take advantage of the resources that we've put together here at City Hall, as well as encouraging them to think about being listed on the local register. So the draft is in your packet. I think we just wanted one more set of eyes on them and any other changes that we need to make, and then we're set to mail those out.
I have a comment. This occurred to me in the middle of the night when I wasn't even at my computer. I'm not sure calling people historic. It's not it's the wording, dear historic Millwood resident. It seems weird. So dear resident of historic Millwood, I think would fix that. Simple, but.
Yes.
Because it's a lot of ghosts running around Millwood.
That is exactly what we need to make sure this letter is the best it can be and represent us before it goes out.
Yeah.
There's a period missing after the end of the third paragraph.
That's great.
When is, when is the date that that we're trying to get these mailed out?
I don't have a date. Just, I think as soon as you all approve it, then we could have it out within a couple of days.
Yeah, if you think about it, it'd be great to have it go out in the month of January. It's kind of welcome to the new year. This is something you could consider.
And people are doing their taxes,
Ah,
so it's a good
perfect,
Yeah.
yes.
timing. Do we want to include contact information specifically for us, like, or anything? Do we just contact city staff? Because it says contact city staff or go to Millwood's website, so do we just assume they're going to look down at the bottom for contact information, or do we want to make that more obvious?
I can add my contact information there, if that's all right with, if that's what you guys want. I do think it's presumptuous to think they'll look to the footer for the phone number.
You think it's presumptuous what?
To think that they will look down at the footer for our phone number.
Oh,
And it's probably more appropriate that they contact you as opposed to one of the commissioners.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything else? All right, with those minor changes, I approve that that letter goes out.
Okay. We'll get it out next week.
Awesome, thank you. All right, next on the agenda was just to look at, so also if you remember, under the agenda, it's the 2023 goals and projects that the Millwood Historic Preservation Commission could look at. Those were ideas that I took from previous meetings that we all had as a commission, and I just tried to type up a list, and then I distributed that a couple of months ago, just asking for other thoughts to be added to that list, or maybe taking what's there and also prioritize them. It was not my intention that this be a list that we try to accomplish in 1 year, because I know we are few and also overworked, and I know the staff is extremely overworked too. But just looking at that and having something that we work towards, I think was very important as us as a commission. So if you're looking at that list, if you think of any other things that we can add to it, or there are things on that list that you think we should put at the top of the list and do our best to try to accomplish earlier in the year than later. I think we open this up for discussion.
so what's our procedure for recruiting a high school student? Like, how do we contact the teachers, like history teachers, or what would be the most appropriate way to do that?
I don't know, but I would think that we would need to have a pretty fleshed out description of what we are looking for, or what that person would be doing, and before we contact the school.
Yeah, and what we do as well, like an introduction to who we are and what we do.
I could probably ask the art teacher how, because I'm already working with her, what the best way to go about something like that would be, or if she can refer me to, I don't know who it would be, the principal or the counselors or whatever. But I don't want to call over there without some idea of what we would like to see that person do.
Could we brainstorm a couple of things right now? I mean, it's only 10 after.
I know.
So what if
The
we?
meeting's running a little long.
Yeah, I know.
There is a Gonzaga game on.
That's true, yeah, so we're gonna, speed this up. To serve on the commission, so we mentioned in general terms, you know, bring young ideas. What does that mean? I mean, how would we, bring your young ideas in, you know, I'm not sure what we're going for.
Well,
what's
so
the-
what are our objectives or goals in having a youth on the board? Is it to connect to a younger audience? Is it to inspire awareness among the next generation? Is it to ask for their input, or to, you know, like what? Because we already have the mural, so that's kind of raising awareness with the high school, with the younger generation. But I think this would, what I really like about it is that it provides an opportunity for somebody who could be passionate about where they live or want to get involved in their community, and to celebrate that this is an opportunity for them to do that, to participate in the same way that we do. I think one of the benefits of having somebody who's young is that maybe they bring in ideas of, well, maybe we can have, you know, a TikTok interview at the Millwood Farmers Market or something like that.
And I think one of the original things we're talking about too, as we were creating this long list, is that identifying, you know, swag materials or helping staff a booth at the farmer's market or things like that. They would just be able to help us provide fresh ideas and even manpower to help do that. But that being said, you know, we would need almost like a job description.
What
that could
about
be.
research as well? We haven't gotten a lot of interest in folks putting their homes on the register. I know looking at the application to me is overwhelming. I know that someone like Mayor Freeman, he hasn't seen the application, but is willing to have his house put on there if someone else was willing to complete that application process. So what about, as part of that, as part of that job description, maybe research and that sort of thing could be included too?
I like that idea.
And I think, not to pat myself on the back, but let me do it anyway, I think we'd probably get, I don't think we necessarily need any more, but I think the school would really, they would probably champion something where that was part of it as well.
It might be an interesting opportunity for the school even to help take on the project of getting the mayor's house on the historic register property, to see what the process is like and to learn about it from like a civic government kind of perspective, if there's a senior class that does that.
And an identified student liaison could help facilitate that in the school. And there's no time frame on Mayor Freeman's listing either, so.
And then what that benefits them, not only they can put that on their college resume, but they can also then put it, that's also an opportunity for them to get involved in their local government and to be aware of that and everything.
And there's volunteer civic activities that can put on.
Community service.
Application, yeah.
And you get to hang out with us cool people. Right.
Well, help us better reach that audience too, because I do think that's a part of it, is just getting those fresh ideas, or a way for us to look at other social media ways of getting our message out.
So with the resource guide, I've done, did the formatting on it, but then I've found a way to put links to, balustrades and balconies and all the 75 things that are in the glossary. Like I put a link to another website, and then the basic definition, and then a photograph or illustration. So it came up that we wanted to put things that, where is it on here? Local illustrations in the resource guide. So that might be something, send this child out to take pictures of, well, someone who's interested in architecture or art, and being able to say, there's a balcony, there's a balustrade. We don't have a lot of, crenellations or castle type things. Well, we might, we don't know. So that might be something where photography, someone interested in architecture and photography could contribute to that. Then we upload them to the resource guide and have it be online. So that's another specific thing we could recruit the person to do.
It'd be nice in a way to keep it open-ended enough so that whoever ends up showing an interest in this, that we can kind of utilize them for whatever their specific interests.
Right, if we get more than one person.
Yeah.
interested in that. Oh, we have
One
jobs for
person,
you.
I'd be happy. with.
Right.
Yeah, just one, but, yeah.
Well, and I do think, that's something that would be very useful to us. I think, we should, I'd hate to see it devolve into some sort of like busy work type,
Right.
But research and photos and helping out at events and stuff, that really would be very useful.
So there are three things right there.
And all of those things are applicable to other types of jobs, like helping out at events is its own category of job, so it gets different interests. Marketing, outreach, education, history, art.
Would there be a volunteer on this commission that would want to outline a job description that would recruit high school students for this position?
I could help out with that. I'm not necessarily the most eloquent verbally, but, so if there's like a job description example, like one for the commission maybe to go off of and use that one.
I can look and see what we have. I'll look and I'll send it to your city email.
Okay.
Yeah, write that down.
Check it.
Check.
Check it.
Email.
And what we've done in the past with these drafts is that if you were to take that template, put in what we're talking about now, create a draft, and then send it back to Christina, she could share that then with the rest of the commissioners. And we can take a look at it and be ready to discuss and edit and finalize in our upcoming meetings. But no, excellent ideas, and there's got to be a student out there that would want to do any of these things, right? And I know it's even halfway through the year, but there's probably juniors or seniors looking to pad their college applications right now.
Okay, so going back to the original question that you asked, Chris, about prioritizing these. I don't, how do you want to go about that? Or, I have something I think that's maybe more applicable here than in my staff report, which was where I was gonna mention it. So the new year is the new budget season, so we have now the funds that were set aside, $5,000 for work to be done with historic preservation. And so I wanted to chat with you all about Tribe Video. And I never have received the raw footage that they had said I would get, which I'm sure is not intentional. I don't think there's anything nefarious there, but I didn't know if you all had another topic in mind for a video. I think we had talked, when I spoke with Andrew, he said $1,500 for another similar video to what we have, the three that we have. I didn't know if you had a topic or what you want. So it sounds like from talking about priorities, the recruiting the high school student is something we're gonna work on, but I felt like the tribe video thing was something pretty easy, you know, to accomplish. Yeah, because we're delegating. But I didn't know if you all had a topic in mind, or,
Well, let's brainstorm that too. Interviews with relatives of, well, like Barbara's house was, I'm just volunteering you, okay? Barbara's house was originally owned by your grandfather, and 3 generations have lived in that house. So, you know, to draw from that resource of people who are still in their, you know, the multiple generation homes, I think that would be, that's just so interesting anyway. You know, let alone the house and what's been done that's right, what's been done they wish they hadn't done or would like to do or whatever, and to modernize. That's a possibility. And that's very like human interesty type.
but do they have that in their existing footage? Because my understanding from him was that it would be $1,500 for use of what they've already shot. And I know that they shot Shireen. Maybe I should reach out to them and ask them either to, in text, tell me what they have, or send me some clips, or have them come to our next meeting, I don't know.
Or let them suggest.
Yeah, they might have some ideas about how to piece some things together, edit it.
Okay. I'll do that, and then I'll bring that back next month.
Can we go through and kind of identify which one of these goals outside of that would then require funds? Because some of them may or may not.
Yes.
So I don't think the first one's gonna require.
No.
That's
so-
just time.
Right, so I mean, if we do identify swag items, again, that's gonna be a while, because I don't know what we would get, or if we would design a pin, and that would be the pin of the year. But I know Millwood always comes up with a different pin, so it might not come out of our budget, but if there are other things that we would want. If we wanted to add those historic property, or the signs that would designate the historic district of Millwood, I think that's important, and that would take some funds. And I think that's got to move up there to the list of using our $5,000 budget.
It was one of the top things I was thinking of before I read the list. There's not really a standout identifier as you kind of pass through here.
So I see for funds, basically outreach event type, like monetary spending, and then the street signs.
So we had talked, never mind. I don't know if we really did, or if I'm just making stuff up in my mind, so never you mind.
Well, I think when we first brought up the street signs, Colleen, you pulled up different images, and we saw an image like, oh, that was great, that would be perfect. But it would be refining that image, and then maybe going to a sign company and finding out what it would cost and how many we would need to designate our area, and then what it would say.
Yeah, is that something, because is there like are there like sign providers for cities? Okay. Would that, because I would imagine they might have one, like a couple styles then for us to choose from maybe, or something like that.
Well, I think we could do it either way. When I purchased the new notice boards that are throughout the city, I really just Googled municipal notice boards and found one that I liked. So probably, we would want to, as a group, maybe at our next meeting or at some point, look at some images again, kind of get an idea of what style we want to go for, and then I can talk to Public Works and see who they work with, and we can kind of go from there.
And then it would only cost, like, material cost, right? We wouldn't have to pay for the labor to.
No, our guys would do that.
I would love to take on the majority of the weight on that project.
Oh, well, take it away.
Yes.
Take it away.
All right, no objections, hearing none.
Nice artistic
Alex
clarity
can,
to the area.
It sounds like we all like that as a top priority too, maybe, is getting the signage. If not the top priority, just a top priority.
yes. I
And
mean,
there will be trail signs eventually. Right?
The trail signs are at the sign company. So there's editing going on to fit to the actual size of the sign and some other things, but if not all of them this year, then certainly a portion of them will be installed.
Because that would be pretty cool to have all that, you know, the signs and the trail signs. Like, we should have an unveiling or something. We should
Right.
should have an event. But to have that all happen at once, it looks very coordinated and purposeful.
so Alex, looking at your, I guess, your work schedule in the next month, is this something that you would have ready to present to us at our next month's meeting, or March would be more
Yeah,
realistic?
I feel like I could sort of network with a couple of people. I'd sort of like to maybe put some input into it, maybe a little bit. Image-wise, I could probably come up with something with
Well-
your help, maybe.
I mean, yeah, a sign company's probably gonna have some options, and they have like already.
Yeah, I mean, like, I want it to feel very Millwood, you know, like Millwood Historic District, like, yeah, so, yeah,
I
I'm
think-
trying to figure that out.
Why don't you
Trying to
present,
come up with-
why don't you present what you have in a month?
Hmm?
Why don't you present what you have in a month?
That's probably a good idea, maybe start there and see what happens.
That way we can
Right, I'll put that on
hold
next
hold
month's
him,
agenda.
hold him to it.
Wonderful.
Most projects are probably done when it's, or better done when it's a little bit warmer, so probably wouldn't really kick that around.
When do we, because several, or a few of these at least, or I added some in my mind. So try videos to edit and create shorter clips for social media. I added and outreach events, because it'd be nice to maybe have those playing at outreach events. I think this one is maybe a lower priority, create an interactive web-based map of historic properties in Millwood to include properties on the historic registers and centennial properties.
I think so.
That's gonna cost some money.
It's gonna cost some money. My intention, barring any big changes, is for next year's budget. I plan to budget in money to just contract with a GIS person to create my zoning and comprehensive plan base maps. We have a GIS person here, but he's only able to work on it very little, and he's pretty much dedicated to public works. And I'm tired of waiting around. So my hope is to be able to hire someone to get those base maps ready to go, and then Daniel can just update them as needed. So I would just lump that in with that project and not take that out of these funds for this board.
So outreach events, because there was also the swag, which feels like maybe a little bit of a higher priority item just because of the timeliness of it.
Right.
Being that outreach events would probably be like
Farmers market.
yeah, things this summer,
Millwood
yeah,
days.
Millwood days. So if we wanted to do something, and I know when we were doing the farmers market, people were like asking if they could purchase the photographs. So even just having like photographs for sale,
I'd buy a couple.
or, so I don't know, but I feel like that might be a higher priority thing to start discussing so that we can make some decisions.
I think there's some copyright issues with some of our photographs, but there's some that are not, you know, like people's private, that if they, you know, if they're willing to share them, so if we can avoid that.
Bunch of aerial photographs of the area that are pretty nice. nice, I know, with the Millwood pride of things, a lot of homeowners out here probably like to have a poster-sized photograph of their neighborhood, where they can point their house out or something.
Right.
I put in the budget this year, money to hire a professional photographer to photograph the city. I have not put out the RFP yet, but I am going to include aerial photo as part of that. So it may be, I think that's a great idea, but those photographs I would have the rights to. So maybe if that doesn't happen this year, then maybe next year we would have, I would like to get, a couple of seasons of photographs, but I haven't talked with any photographers yet. So, but I would have some professional photos that we would be able to utilize in that way if we wanted to.
Well, it's a kind of a long-term project, because like with the calendar, last year the calendar was small, this year the calendar, the Millwood History Enthusiasts calendar is bigger. So there've been lots of responses about, yeah, I really like the bigger calendar, because I can write in the squares. So each year it evolves a little bit of what people like and what people would buy. So let's try it this year. The aerial photos thing is a great idea. Here's my house is here. And then just see how let it grow over 23, 24, 25, up to our centennial, which is 27,
I think it's officially 28.
28, okay.
So can we just go through and maybe put kind of a date-ish on some of these? Because some of them can probably be year-round projects. We'll always be trying to get at properties to the local register. Whereas some of these are more timely, where I would love for us to have a really cool booth for the farmer's market. So the more time we can, the more time we can talk about that. So recruit high school students to serve on the commission. I will report back on that next month. Identify and purchase relevant swag items to be shared at outreach events. Do we want to start researching that for next month, or do we want to start doing that next month?
Do you have any idea
No,
what you might want?
no.
Other than the historic photo idea, or?
I could come next month and we could look at some of the sites that I purchase other swag items. Colleen, did you have something you wanted to
It could
say?
be kind of cool if there's other older Millwood logos that people might recognize or something, to do old logos of Millwood type swag that people might
I
wanna
might
buy.
have some
Or old logos from other businesses that were in Millwood that have gone out of business, That could be kind of fun.
Or the signs, some of the historic signs that you make into a
Yes.
pin or a button or something.
So, okay, so what if we come to next meeting with our brainstormed ideas?
That's fine too.
Swag, yeah.
Okay.
Swag ideas.
Well, this will be fun.
Yeah, that's what we're all about.
Fun.
It's fun, right?
And then, okay, so outreach events start in May.
They actually really start in June.
So maybe in April, we'll start talking about the display for the,
And May is Historic Preservation Month, so it would be good to time something for that.
this wasn't on the list, but also if I don't know if this is a 2023 goal, I might just have it as a perpetual goal, but a history days or Millwood History Days, especially if we're gonna do a district, it could be cool to unveil it at History Days.
We had talked about that. I think that needs some work.
Massage it.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, but it's gonna take a lot of work, and so we'll have to figure that out.
And we do have, of course, Millwood Days that we could always ask to have time set aside for a presentation or something. And then is Scope planning to do another parade thing in the park that usually is a community event?
I had heard that they were, and then they had a death among their group of one of their main folks, and I don't know the answer to that. I know that their intent was to come back this year, but I'm not sure if they are gonna be able to do that, so.
So other than those first three, and then the update and include local illustrations for the resource guide, I feel like is kind of the next one, and we're already kind of moving on that one.
Yes.
The rest I feel like can fall into the, like, they're not as time sensitive because they don't have to deal with events. So we could maybe just kind of let them fall into their, identify them at various meetings when we want to do them. Oh, and Al's and you're gonna do you're gonna present something for our February meeting.
I'll figure it out.
That's right, it'll be on the agenda.
I have to see like cutting and gluing on a presentation board. I know, I hope for it.
PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Oh, good, and so Annie or Barbara, were there, that's okay with you? Do you have any other comments or things that you would like to add to the list, or you think that we're overextending and we should put off a little bit longer?
Really exciting. Hopefully, we can make these connections.
You know, oh, sorry, did I get you off?
Well, I was gonna ask about the interactive web-based map. That sounds so interesting to me, but is that something we would have someone else do, or would that be done among ourselves
Next year.
in next year?
No, I will have someone do that.
So
And I-
2024?
And I think that came, well, originally from if we had a big interest in people putting the Century stickers on their homes, and then we would, for everybody that got one of those stickers, we would map them and create something
Oh, it's.
that would,
I see, for
Yeah.
those 100-year structures.
but we could certainly expand that to properties. I don't know, there used to be a website, I've not been to it, or even a phone app that you could go to Millwood and click on certain properties, and it would pull up little snapshots of,
Yeah.
and I know it wasn't totally accurate, so that there was, and I don't even know if it's available anymore.
The Wizard, is that the name?
That's through,
DAH maybe?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or if it was something historic, Spokane, public history, students at Eastern did. Yeah, again, it would be old, and, but this would be something that we would create. We would make sure that it was accurate, and if it was housed on our website, then we would have control over it.
Yeah. Oh, while we still have some old people alive, it would be nice along the businesses along Argonne and Empire and, not Empire, what's it? Euclid, what those buildings were originally used for. And then stories of the families who operated them. But that takes a lot of memory.
Main point of interest around here is that little strip of shops, at least for me it is. So I'm curious enough about each and every one of them.
Well, and I wonder, I know I didn't spend time in your booth at the farmer's market, but I know, Colleen, that you had commented how much people who did have memories like to stop and talk about them. Maybe at the farmer's market this year, when that's happening, maybe you ask folks if they'd be willing to come and sit down
Or
with
do it right
us,
there.
or,
Just when
Yeah.
you got them, you know,
Yeah.
like we need like a little booth, like, you know, like those, with the picture booths that take your roll of photo booth, and sit them down and say, okay, go, you know, and just ask follow-up questions. And because there were a ton of, I probably could have done at least 10 half-hour interviews
Mhm.
just there, you know, and you're there all day, you know, or I was. So, that would
When you have
be
people
really
coming back,
fun.
yeah,
Yes.
So, like-
My grandma, you know, yeah.
yeah.
Recording equipment
Yes, but you know, like even your phone, it's something better than your phone, but something inexpensive that would, I do interviews with elderly people, and I have a tiny recorder that actually does a great job, and then I use my phone as my backup. So something that you can be spontaneous with, you know, and get them sitting down.
Photo of that person and
Yep.
recording it, putting information. in
Yeah,
the
and their permission, you know, to put it on the website, store it somewhere.
So have our own little memory booth?
Yes.
That would be very cool. Could it be air conditioned?
Memory booth. Yes, in July, required air conditioning.
Wow, that would be so cool.
So I feel like this is probably sufficient for this year. I mean, this is ambitious for us based on what we're normally doing. So my preference would be that we take these ones that we've discussed here and run with those and then see how we fare going forward.
Agreed.
I just wanted to say one more thing about, starting with Mayor Freeman's home, adding properties to the local register. I mean, that's the form, not being intimidated by the form, just walking through all the criteria, getting background on his home, which would be on that website, or would it be on somewhere, like the architect, somebody knows where that is. So that wouldn't, I mean, I feel like that's just like a 3-day weekend to sit down and get through that. And I think that's really one of our things, to keep adding to the local register. I mean, why do we have a local register if we're not, you know, actively adding to it? So that might be, that would be kind of, maybe we could do a work session or something for that. That would be kind of fun, later, not now.
Right, and I know we discussed before too, is that as commissioners, we're not supposed to write these ourselves. But what we could do is, if we identify a student or a class that would want to take this on as a project, we could mentor them on how to do the research. And we could review the research, and then let them work with Mayor Freeman on writing.
It could be like a great project for some sort of research, or, you know, like, it's like an internet sleuth kind of thing.
That could be a specific thing on our job description, you know, to write the local register application. That will be one thing they could do, they will do.
And present it. I mean, that's also part of the process and would be a good thing for a student.
We have a picture in front of Mayor Freeman's house by the original family. And it's a sister and a younger brother, and you can tell she just despises that little boy. There's so many stories that could be made up looking at that picture. Well, that'll be fun.
Great, all right. Well, I agree that we've got some great projects. Thank you for those who volunteered to follow through on some of these things. We'll keep following these up in the next couple of months. So moving on to our next action item would be the Historic Preservation Commission Chair. And I didn't mean to scare anybody last time. I mean, it's not like I'm leaving the commission or anything like that, but I know I have been chair for 2 or 3 years. I don't know, time just... 5 years. And so I just wanted to open up discussion and give people an opportunity to nominate themselves, and we could change our officers. I think I was chair, I am chair, Annie is vice chair, Barbara's secretary. We have 2 new commissioners.
I like not being secretary.
Well, and Chris, you've done such a great job too. I mean, you're so organized, and you know, you bang the gavel really well.
How do you feel?
No, I mean, I'm certainly fine with staying in office,
Okay,
but I
that's- End of discussion.
But again, this was just always good to have this on, because then tactfully you could say, yeah, I think it's time that we just open it up again, and then you're not gonna hurt my feelings, or anything like that, but,
Why don't we just put that on the January agenda every year?
yes, it's
Yeah,
just,
great
to-
idea.
yeah.
Our
Alright.
goals are just to remember there's meetings and bring all our stuff. And make sure there's babysitters.
All right. Okay, so moving on,
It's fine.
staff report.
I've been thinking about it. Olive would actually probably get a kick out of this. Yeah.
So I have a few things tonight. I want to give you an update on the mural project. I've had a couple of things going with that. So apparently my emails were not reaching the art teacher. I'm not sure why that was. So I finally reached out to the school and left a phone message, and she did call me back. She said they are finishing up on their proposals. And then she emailed me after that asking if I could point out or give her some idea on size. And so they could tailor them that way, I guess. So they are working on those, and I'm anticipating hearing from her in the next few weeks with proposals for that mural. Along with that, there has been some, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. I'm looking at you, Alex. There's some new energy at the Millwood Masonic Temple building, and they have started making inquiries about updating their building, including opening the windows back up. Right? I
That's
know.
literally what he talks about. Like,
I know. I'm right there with them.
He's like, I wonder what those windows
It'd
look
just be
like.
like such a visual difference. I feel
Yeah.
like everybody in the world would notice it. The colors
Yes,
go like those.
I agree. However, they also intend to open the windows on the north side where the mural was going to go. And so the temple's no longer amiable to it going there.
Well, that-
Quit smiling.
No, I just was gonna say, all of us who love brick.
Yes, well, we're proposing then, and they are amiable to us putting it on this side of their building. So if it wasn't dark out, you could see that there's a big blank swath up there facing this way. And so that's where we are proposing that it will go now. There are no windows on that side. I didn't receive, she stopped me after a planning commission meeting, a discussion with planning commissioner Vesey about some homes that she thought were reaching the 100-year mark. And in discussing with her, I told her that I was relying pretty heavily on that list that's in the comp plan, but that's really only the historic district. And so she emailed me following up on our conversation and said, I did find 2 properties that are outside the historic district, so not on the comp plan list. 3608 North Dale, the D.O. Merritt House. Valley Herald reported construction in May 1922. And 8936 East Frederick, the Coleman House, ? And she says that one also is 1922. And then she provided this spokesman review from September of 1923 with some houses that were being built. So I didn't know what to do with this. If she sends an address and I go in and look at it, should I just make up the thing and we just proactively send it? Or the letter and the letter and the decal? What would you like me to do?
Congratulations, here's your decal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Be done with it.
okay.
And if they use it, I mean, not to use it, but, yeah, because then it's done.
Okay.
It's like, oh, did you get your letter? And then that'll be a thing, like, oh, did you get your letter with the decal on it? You know, so.
Okay, I will do that then. I will keep those and I will do that. I would like we've talked about this before. This commission to come to the city council's March meeting to talk with the city council. I will leave it to you all to decide how you're going to do that, if you're all going to come, which I think would be fantastic. Basically, what I'm hoping is that you will report to the council the accomplishments of last year and the plans for this coming year. And I think we're gonna have some good ones. I think that they need to hear from you directly. And so I'm planning for you all to do this maybe twice a year, maybe once again towards the end of the year. The Planning Commission is going to do the same. We can talk about it, you can think about it over the next month, and then in February, at our February meeting, we can kind of finalize what we want to do. If, you know, initially I had emailed the videos to all of the council members, but if we wanted to show a video as part of your presentation, we certainly could do that. But I think it's important that we start doing that on a regular basis. So,
Is that the first Tuesday or?
second Tuesday.
And would there be a set amount of time that we would have, or that we need to be restricted to?
Yeah, but it wouldn't be 10 minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
our
We
council.
wouldn't want to go over that.
Yeah, our council meetings aren't so chock full that, and I would have you go in February, but we have 2 council members who are not going to be there, and I want to have as much participation as we can. I want to tell you about a meeting, if you didn't read your newsletter, on February 7th at 6 o'clock here with the Beautification and Tree Board. They received a grant last year from Department of Natural Resources. And we had a consultant come in and do an inventory of our trees, where they are, the health of our trees. And now the process will continue on with the creation of an urban canopy management plan. And so on the 7th, they are having a public meeting to get input on that process and present their findings. And so I will be very honest, we don't get good attendance at our public meetings. I would really encourage you to attend if you can, just to kind of show them your support.
That's February 6th?
February 7th at 6.
That's a Monday.
I want to talk to you about some staffing changes that we're having around City Hall. Again, if you read your newsletter, you know that Paul is retiring at the end of March. So things are going to be shifting around. His job is going to be split between Matt and Kyle. We've hired another Public Works employee, so when Paul leaves, we'll have Matt in charge of water and sewer, Kyle in charge of roads and construction, and then 2 people working with them. Additionally, we have hired another admin person who will be working for me. Lisa is going to move downstairs and be the admin for finance and for Public Works. So I put out the job posting, and I did make an offer to someone last week who accepted. Her name is Denise. She starts on February 1st. I think she's going to be a great addition. As part of her job duties in the job description, I did write in that attending these meetings would be a part of her job with me. Currently, Lisa attends Planning Commission and City Council, and she takes the minutes and manages that so that I can participate in the meeting, and that is what I would like Denise to continue to do, and do it for this commission as well. Parts of Lisa's job that take up a good amount of her time now are Public Works related, and so those will go downstairs with her, and that will, once Denise is up to speed, I anticipate that she will have a little bit more free time that we can devote to things for this commission that I just don't have the time for now. So I'm hoping that that will be a benefit to this group, even just with the mailing of letters and the tracking of houses that are meeting the 100-year mark or whatever that might be. I'm hoping that we'll see some benefit here as well. So I plan to have her come next month and just, sit. She's going to go to council and planning commission as well, where Lisa will be showing her how to run the minutes program and do that. But I'll have her come next month and introduce her, and so you'll start seeing her here. I think I've mentioned before that the city council hired a consultant to develop a new logo for the city, and they have come up with a proposal. They came up with 6 proposals, and it's been narrowed down to one that will be presented to the city council on February 14th at their council meeting. So a new logo. It's not been well received in this building, so I'll be interested to see what the council thinks. Myself, Councilmember Culler, and the mayor were the only ones that were allowed to see all 6. And then there was a process of narrowing them down, and so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. As part of that process, I did ask them to provide what they are terming sister logos. So it would be the main city logo, but with your commission's tag on it. It's not historic looking. If that's something that we want to look at doing in the future, that maybe could be added to the list. This logo is not that. And then the last thing I had was just, and we've touched on this, it sounds like I was going to ask the question about attending the farmer's market this year, and if that was something that you all wanted to do, and it sounds like you do. So I'll just go about.
Except the really hot day.
You don't get to choose. You don't get to choose. I do have some fans with misters I can provide. The problem is all the paper products in the booth, so. And that's all I have, I think, unless you have any questions for me.
Can we get the mayor's address, maybe not in an official meeting, just so that we can look up the home on our own?
Yeah.
I enjoy doing that type of stuff right now with sandboard maps.
Ooh, very good. All right, thank you for the staff report. Exciting things happening. All right, are there any reports or comments by commissioners?
I don't have anything more.
No? Great, it's been a great meeting, and I'm very excited about the things that we're going to be doing this next year. So our next meeting is set February 16th at 6 p.m. We all know what we should be doing before then. And if there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? We stand adjourned.
Yay!
Go get it.
Look at that, a minute to spare.